Hey everyone, in this video I'll be explaining the first chapter of class 12 history book, which is the Harappan Civilization. So let's move to the explanation. Now this is Harappan seal, and it is the most distinctive artifact of Harappan civilization. It was made up of a stone called statite. This seal contained animals and signs from scripts which are still undeciphered. Okay. Now the sources of artifacts are houses, pots, ornaments, tools and seals. This is the second slide. Indus Valley Civilization is also known as Harappan culture. Now, what is culture? Culture means the distinctive group of objects which are found within a particular period of time and within a specific geographical area are termed under a particular culture. Now, Harappa is the first site which was discovered. Okay. The time period of Harappan civilization is approximately, the scene is approximately and 26 and 1900 BC, which means before Common Era. Now, the objects found in a culture are baked bricks, seals, beads, weights, and stone blades. Okay, and the areas where Harappan civilization existed are Afghanistan, Jammu, Balochistan, Pakistan, and Gujarat. But there were other places as well, like the northernmost part of Harappan civilization was in Afghanistan, and the easternmost part was in Uttar Pradesh. But these are some of the important places. Now, Harappan civilization is divided into three cultures. Earlier culture, which is known as early Harappan, mature Harappan, which is known as Harappan civilization, and later culture, which is known as later Harappan. Okay, now there was a gap between early Harappan and mature Harappan. How do we know that there was a gap? The archaeologists have found burnt sites and abandoned settlements. That's how they get to know that there was a gap between early Harappan and mature Harappan. Now, these are some of the properties of early Harappan. The properties are distinctive pottery, agriculture, crafts, pastoralism, small settlements, and there were no large buildings. Okay. The third slide is about the subsistence strategies of the people of Harappa. They used to eat grains, which include millets. The sources of millets are mostly found in Gujarat. They also used to eat barley, lentil, chickpea, sesame, wheat, and rice. The remains of rice are rarely found. They used to eat fish and fowl as well. Fowl means bird. Okay, the remains of animals' bones are also found, either domestic or wild. Domestic animals include cattle, sheep, goat, buffalo, and pig. Wild animals include boar, deer, and gharial. Now, the sources of all these remains are charred grains, seeds, and animal bones. Now, the thing with these sources is they can't decay even when buried in soil for centuries. So that's why archaeologists still find these remains. Okay. Now, the specialists in animal remains are known as archaeozoologists and zoo archaeologists, and the specialists in plant remains are known as archaeobotanists. These are some important terms. Now, let's talk about the agricultural technologies people of Harappa used. Bull's representation on seals and terracotta sculpture prove oxen were used for plowing. Now, you guys would be wondering that how does it relate that bull's representation on seals and terracotta sculptures prove that oxen were used for plowing. Now, first of all, see, this is the terracotta bull sculpture that they are talking about, and many of the students don't know the difference between oxen and bull. So the thing is, bull and oxen are same animals, but the difference is oxen's reproductive parts are removed. So that's why, and bulls are aggressive species, so they can't be used in agriculture purposes. So that's why the bulls whose reproductive parts are removed are known as oxen. Okay. Now, terracotta models of plow are also found in Cholistan and Banavali. Banavali is in Haryana. Plowed fields are also found in Kalibangan, Rajasthan. Two furrows at like this right angle are also found, which means two different crops were harvested. Canals were also found in Shautugai, Afghanistan, but not in Punjab or Sindh. Water reservoirs are found in Dholavira, Gujarat. Now, how artifacts are identified? Saddle coins. Saddle coin is an instrument, not instrument, equipment used in Harappan time period for grinding and stuff. Okay, so saddle coins were used for grinding cereals. It was made up of igneous rock or sandstone. Its base used to be convex, like you can see. Okay, now saddle coins were of two types. The first one contained a smallest stone and was rolled to and fro like this. Okay, this smallest stone was rolled to and fro over this bigger stone. Okay, and it was used for to grind grains. Now the second type was used as a pounder, like this the stone of the former type was used in to and fro motion, and this second type's smallest stone was used in this direction, like there would be grain and they would grind it in this way. Okay, now it was used for pounding herbs and spices for making curries. That's why it is also known as curry stones. Now let's move to Mohenjo-daro, a planned urban center. Mohenjo-daro is the most well-known site and Harappa is the first site discovered. Okay, understand the difference. Now, Mohenjo-daro settlement was divided into two parts. The first part was known as Citadel and the other part was known as Lower Town. Citadel was smaller in area, but it was higher. It was made up on mud brick platform and it was walled. And the lower town was larger, but it was lower. Okay, and it was also built on platform and it was walled. Now, Mohenjo-daro was a planned settlement. How do we get to know about it? We can get to know about this through the brick size. Sun-dried or baked bricks were only used, either sun-dried or baked, and the bricks were of a standardized ratio. That means the length was 4 times that of height and breadth was 2 times that of height. Okay. The drains at lower town, roads and streets were laid at grid pattern like this. Okay. At lower town, roads and streets were laid at grid pattern. Drains were laid first and then houses were built. Sorry. Which means that the streets and drains were built first and then houses were built, and these drains were also built in grid platform. That's how we get to know that Mohenjo-daro was a planned settlement. Okay, now this slide is about the domestic architecture which contain lower towns had residential buildings. Okay, now this is the diagram and I have labeled the paragraph which is written in NCERT books for ease to understand. Okay, so this is the courtyard and it was the center of activities like cooking and weaving, mostly in summer season. Okay, in courtyard you can see this is the center of this house, and they also had staircases in some houses to go to the rooftop. Okay, some house and most of the houses had wells for passerbys, and 700 wells were found. Okay, now main entrance gave no direct view of interior, like that's how we get to know that there was a very good privacy. No windows along ground level. There were no windows. You can see there's just one entrance, which too didn't give the view of the interior of the house. And I believe this room contained wells because this is the only way for passers-by to use it. Okay. Now this was the bathroom, and many houses had bathrooms which were paved with bricks, and there were rooms on all the sides. Okay, I have tried to explain this in a very easy way, and I would suggest students to draw this label diagram in your exams as well, because last year I remember I did this, and I believe I fetched more marks by doing this because this is a very unique way, and that's why the examiner gets to know that the student is making effort. Okay, so please do this. Now, Alexa Cunningham was the first Director General of Archaeological Survey of India (ASI). Dholavira and Gujarat were the citadel, and there was the citadel in Dholavira and Gujarat were fortified, but Lothal wasn't walled off. The citadel in Lothal wasn't walled off, and the houses in Lothal were built in mud brick, but drains were made up of burnt bricks. Okay, and the opposite was the case in the houses of other places like Dholavira or Gujarat or etc. The last slide is about the citadel, which was used for public purposes. Warehouse and the Great Bath are the two structures which are mentioned in NCERT book. So I'll be explaining them both. Warehouse was a massive structure of which the lower brick portion remain because it was made up of brick, and brick can decay, and the upper portion was made up of wood, which obviously decayed. Okay. And the second structure is the great path. It was probably used for ritual paths. I have explained the great path in label diagram as well. Okay, so I'll be explaining this. The great path had corridors in all the four sides and rooms in three sides, and one side had well. Okay, it was a rectangular tank in the courtyard. It was made watertight by using bricks on the edge and using a mortar of gypsum. Okay, it had two flights of steps in north and south direction, and the lane to the north had 8 bathrooms, 4 on each side, connecting with the drain along the corridor. Okay, I believe that this is somewhere the way to the north lane. Okay, so with this, I am ending this video. I'll be making second and third part as well. If there is any query, just comment it down, or any suggestion, feel free to share. Okay, with this, I am hoping you will watch the second part as well. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.